Lonzo Ball is out for the season, and this means he only played just 35 games for the Chicago Bulls. And remember, the trio of Lonzo, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic was supposed to be an elite team, not only in the Eastern Conference, but also among the league as a whole. But for many reasons, that has obviously not happened. Now, what exactly is wrong with Lonzo, you might ask? Well, according to a Bulls insider, he has nerve damage in his knee. And if you're a Bulls fan or basketball fan in general, you know that's scary news for the 25-year-old guard, because it instantly makes you think of Jay Williams, a former second overall pick for the Bulls. In 2003, Jay Williams crashed his Yamaha R6 motorcycle into a streetlight at an intersection in downtown Chicago. He severed the femoral artery in his left leg, cracked his sacrum, dislocated his knee, and severed a nerve, causing a gait abnormality called foot drop. But things weren't all bad, because about 4 years after the accident, he worked his way back and actually returned to the NBA and met with 6 different teams. The, at the time, New Jersey Nets gave him a non-guaranteed contract, but the injury had too much of a negative effect on him, and the Nets let him go after just 6 preseason games. Williams tried playing in the NBA Developmental League with the Austin Toros, which was his last and final option. Unfortunately, tragedy struck again, and he was back on the sidelines. He tore his hamstring and had a significant pulled groin. He was eventually waived by the Toros, and Jay Williams' career was over. And while we're not projecting exactly that to happen to Lonzo, it's important for everyone to realize just how career-ending of an injury this could be. Nerve damage is no joke, especially to an NBA basketball player. Think about it. Everything you do on the court requires you to use your knees. Running up and down the court, shooting a jump shot or layups, or even coming down with a rebound or getting into a defensive stance. The point is, there is almost no way he can play meaningful basketball with severe nerve damage to his knee. But just how big of a hit is this to the Bulls? How important of a player is Lonzo to Chi-Town? Let's get into it. One of the areas he's definitely missed in is three-point shooting. The Bulls are dead last in three-pointers made per game and 15th in three-point percentage. When you don't have a quality superstar on your roster, you need to be able to at least shoot at a high level. And that's just not the case for the Bulls. And the thing is, they are consistently a bad shooting team, because in their last 11 games, they're still dead last in three-pointers made per game, and they're 25th in three-point percentage. Some more casual fans may be wondering, well, how would Lonzo help with that? He was one of the best shooters in the league last year, shooting 42% on 7 attempts per game. It was just 35 games, but we honestly think it isn't too crazy to assume that he would have at least finished the season shooting over 39%, which is pretty elite factoring in his attempts. Currently, the Bulls now have only one player shooting over 37%, which is Zach LaVine. Their starting point guard, Patrick Beverley, is shooting 33% from 3. DeRozan is shooting 31% from 3. Vucevic is shooting 34%, and Alex Caruso is shooting 36%. Like we mentioned, you could maybe overcome these poor shooting numbers if you had a superstar. And although LaVine is really good without a question, he still isn't considered a superstar, and he may never be. But even then, our theory is sort of skewed, because the more we look around the league, the more we see that it's nearly impossible for a superstar to thrive without great three-point shooters around him. Giannis has Drew Holiday, who's shooting 38% from deep, Grayson Allen shooting over 40, and Brook Lopez shooting 38. And those are all starters. Nikola Jokic has Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's shooting 44%, Jamal Murray shooting 39, and Michael Porter Jr. shooting over 40. And if you need an example of a team without a superstar that's still doing all right due to their great shooting, just look at the Utah Jazz, who are 6th in three-pointers made per game while also being an above-average team in the West. Or you have the Pacers, who are 5th in three-pointers made per game with no superstar to speak of, and yet are still a pretty solid team, even if neither team are currently in the playoff picture. But another category they desperately missed Lonzo in is playmaking. The Bulls are 22nd in assists per game, and that's honestly no surprise, because out of all the point guards the Bulls have on their roster, not one of them are even remotely close to ball when facilitating. In this fast-paced NBA, you need to have a great facilitator and decision maker who can make the offense run smoothly. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan definitely need someone to get them the ball, because they are natural-born scorers. players, and while both of them can create buckets at a high level by themselves, we're pretty sure they would prefer to have a great passer to help get them in position to get even easier buckets. Kevin Durant was really living the life in Golden State because he could do just that. He didn't have to worry about bringing the ball up the floor and trying to do everything himself by playing iso ball just to get a quality shot off. He could just walk right into his spot, and either Steph, Draymond, Clay, or any other high IQ players on that roster would feed it to him. Easy buckets. The Bulls are actually third in the NBA in points per possession in isolation situations. And while it is effective right now, it just shows how reliant they are on playing isolation ball. And that's something that just won't work come playoff time. Lonzo is one of the best passers in the NBA. He was averaging 5 assists per game last season, and that honestly doesn't even really tell the entire story. He's a much better passer than numbers show, even if sometimes he can be a little too passive, sort of like Ben Simmons. But the huge difference there is Lonzo is always passing to someone who's in a great position to score. Ben Simmons, on the other hand, is passing the ball because he is clearly terrified of shooting the basketball, as a basketball player, regardless of if his guy is in a position to score or not. Lonzo is the ultimate transition and fast break starter. He has amazing touch and accuracy on outlet passes, and he's also looking to make the pass immediately after grabbing a rebound. That's a really important skill because scoring in transition effectively can get you a lot of wins. Just ask the 76ers, Pacers, Nuggets, Cavaliers, or Celtics, who are all top 5 in points per possession in transition. Lonzo gets everyone quality touches, and that's great for team chemistry overall, which is something that can be hit or miss for the Bulls this season. And now for the final category that they really miss him in, defense. While the Bulls are 7th in defensive rating and 9th in opponent field goal percentage, we can assure you they would be an even better defensive team with ball on the court. The majority of those defensive numbers come from Alex Caruso and Patrick Williams, and of course Patrick Beverley now. Again, while those are good numbers, they still aren't even remotely close to the Bucks, Cavs, Grizzlies, or Celtics in defense. And maybe even with Lonzo, they still wouldn't be in the same category as those teams, but they would be pretty close. A backcourt defensive duo of Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball is one of, if not the best defensive backcourts in the NBA. Lonzo is a good on-ball and off-ball defender. At 6'6", he can defend 3 positions, making him very versatile. He has great hands as well, and that's why he was averaging 1.8 steals per game last season before he went out. He was even 7th in the NBA in deflections, and guess who is right in front of him at number 6? Alex Caruso. Caruso is in the same conversation as Drew Holiday and Marcus Smart when it comes to perimeter defense. Caruso is one of the most skilled and fundamentally sound defenders in the NBA. He already terrorizes guards right now with his defense, so imagine him having Lonzo there to help. And while Lonzo's not as good as Caruso defensively, he's still ahead of like 95% of the point guards out there when it comes to defense. And plus, the only defensive backcourts you can reasonably compare them to is Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, or Luka and Kyrie. Yeah, who are we kidding? That last one was definitely a joke. There is no defense to be had in Dallas. But the point remains, they would have arguably one of the best defensive backcourts in the league. And in a league that's so perimeter-oriented, we don't think we need to tell you how important that is. All things considered, it's not looking great for Lonzo at the moment. Nerve damage is serious. And the thing we fear most is, even if Lonzo comes back sometime next season, how good will he be? Will he still be a good defender? Will his shooting suffer? Will he lack the explosiveness and confidence he needs? There are so many negative effects this injury could have on his career, and it's honestly sad to see it happen to him. He plays the game the right way. He works extremely hard, isn't a dirty player, and he's been very mature since he first stepped into the league. It's unfortunate, and we all hope he can shake it off and bounce back soon. But what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for Lonzo Ball? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.